Hey guys, I'm meteorologist Jason Cooley with Texas Weather Center and Texas Storm Chasers. We have already had storms starting to fire up. Alright, so we have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect northeast of Hamilton, Texas. That's a little elevated hailer that looks like it's racing northeast. Going to miss Cranfell's Gap. Probably going to miss Meridian. Well, it looks like it's kind of headed straight toward Meridian, so just in the last 15 minutes I've been setting up for a live weather discussion, and then all of a sudden we've seen three cells just rapidly blossom here in northern Texas. Now, I'm not going to be doing live weather coverage for the state of Texas. David Reimer is going to be here in over the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It depends how impactful these storms really start getting, and if we start getting tornado warnings especially, then David Reimer is going to be taking over. But seeing that he was doing coverage yesterday, of course, for a full 4 hours, and then did the roundup in the morning, I mean, he's going to be relaxing. So I'm just giving you guys a brief update on the state of things in the state of Texas. And we have the three thunderstorms that have already started firing up here in North Texas. One of them severe, northeast of Hamilton, moving toward Meridian, may have some pocket change-sized hail. We're going to have a storm cross I-35 near Itasca, I-35W, that is. That might develop some hail here shortly, just given how fast these storms have built up. We also have a storm just passed over Ennis, Texas, near I-45. It's already east of I-45. So, again, you can watch these storms on the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile weather app. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the latest forecast. And my audio might sound kind of lo-fi. I'm not sure why, but it is what it is. Merry Christmas. We're going to look at the latest state of affairs here. We have the high-resolution rapid refresh model fresh off the press here. And we're going to take a quick look at what the latest just simulated reflectivity. It's already not handling things very well, seeing that it doesn't initiate storms until 4 or 5 even. It doesn't initiate storms until 5. Well, we already have 3 storms ongoing at 2:41 p.m., so you could probably throw this away completely. But along our residual boundary from last night, kind of stalled over DFW, it's given a pretty good indication that we're going to have storms blossoming by dinner time, 6-7 p.m. across the Metroplex, down in the hill country, as well as Texoma, the Red River Valley. We don't even have a mesoscale discussion at the moment. Let me double check that. I'm sorry if my audio is kind of lo-fi. It's not sure why, but it is what it is. We don't have any mesoscale discussion. Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, we have a mesoscale discussion. Sorry, I had to activate that. It says 95% chances of a severe thunderstorm watch coming. Supercell thunderstorms are expected to develop and increase in coverage throughout the afternoon. Very large hail. Some stones possibly may reach 4 inches in diameter, and severe gusts will be the main threats. A couple tornadoes could occur. Kind of depends on where those outflow boundaries, those very fine scale outflow boundaries, really set up. So again, the high resolution rapid refresh model is not handling it very well, considering that we already have 3 storms that have fired up in the state of Texas. Again, those are just out of nowhere, northeast of Hamilton coming toward Meridian. One's over Itasca and I-35W, and one's northeast of Ennis, just crossed I-45. So that's what's happening now. Again, so the high resolution rapid refresh, already useless. I mean, it's not ever super duper correct, but yeah, we might as well not even look at this. I was going to look at it, and we're looking at it, but we're not going to spend too much time looking at it. All right, so right now we have a categorical risk of the enhanced variety, level 3 out of 5, over the DFW Metroplex down to Waco, Belton, Temple, Killeen, up towards Texoma across the border in Oklahoma and East Oklahoma. There's some tornado risk, but it's very low. The main risk is going to be damaging hail and some strong winds. So right now, just a low risk. 2% tornado risk as it stands. Now, if we see a storm get really organized along an outflow boundary, then this 2% doesn't mean anything, because we could have one big tornado, just like we saw yesterday down in Bruce Valetti over to Marquette, and there was a 2% there until that storm got going and rode the outflow boundary, and it became a 5% pretty quick from the SBC. In fact, they issued a tornado watch just because of that storm. So some of these fine mesoscale features that we see, just like we may see later on today, you're not going to have a huge tornado risk well in advance. There might be a 5% that'll pop up later this afternoon and evening. I mean, it's just kind of where are those mesoscale features going to set up exactly? Either way, large damaging hail is going to be the main threat today, level 3 out of 5 across the DFW Metroplex, and that includes I-35 all the way down to San Marcos, and it includes Austin, Waco, not San Antonio, sorry, Waco and Belton, Temple, Killeen, DFW, and then up to Gainesville. Across the Oklahoma border, it does include I'm getting mixed up here. Paris, Denison, Sherman, into Oklahoma, into southeast Oklahoma. Large damaging hail up to 4 inches in diameter potentially. So big stuff here, especially with hail. Our gusty winds, we will probably have a few. We're not looking at significant wind risk. Hopefully no big Houston or Temple situations again. We're not looking at such. Again, big time hail. Let's go ahead and take a look at the state of the atmosphere now as observed by mesoanalysis. Mesoanalysis is a fun little thing we can look at. Again, this is not super duper true. It's certainly more on par than the HRRR, the HRRR. We do have real-time observations here to look at, so dew points are in the mid-70s here across much of North Texas, mid and upper 70s in the Brazos Valley, Central Texas, even near 80 degrees. We have an 81-degree dew point actually out here in East Texas, but upper 70 dew points extend all the way up into Northeast Texas, and even the Arklatex mid-70s for dews. So higher dews, higher moisture, higher humidity, feels muggy. That's storm fuel. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that storm fuel. Here's the surface-based instability, pretty extreme levels, amounts of instability. This is if a parcel of air were to rise from the surface up into the atmosphere. This is how much fuel it would have, and this is kind of tells you how fast those updrafts are going to go up. And of course, again, if you look at these storms that are ongoing now, they've gone up really fast. These storms are already going up so quick, from nothing to bam, severe thunderstorm coming toward Meridian, Texas. The other two storms are not warned yet, but they could develop hail cores pretty quickly over Itasca, I-35W, and now pretty well northeast of Ennis and I-45. That's all due in part thanks to all this instability over the area. Now, I was looking really hard for any west to east oriented outflow boundaries or anything like that. It's hard to pick out. I'm sure more master meteorology people would be able to pick them out, but yeah, it's not really seeing anything significant at the moment. We have plenty of horizontal convective rolls across northeast Texas. These little lines you see across kind of southwest to northeast, indicating some static stability in the mid levels of the atmosphere, but we're boiling temperatures, dew points, thermal energy, we're just boiling. And then eventually the cap blows and we start getting these thunderstorms here. So these are an indication that we have instability building, but it's still capped over. It's kind of like a rolling boil. If you were to throw a pot of water on the stovetop, put a lid on it, this is kind of what you see, all these little bubbling, rolling conditions. But we have seen 3 storms finally break the cap and explode quickly. One is severe over coming toward Meridian now. That's the southeast side or southwest portion of this cluster. Again, here's what the current radar looks like. How fast it blows up like that. So I was going to take a better look at the high resolution rapid refresh, but since that it's out to lunch, given that it is not even picked up on the current storms, then forget it. So we're kind of doing a nowcasting thing more than a futuristic discussion. We already have storms underway. Plenty of bulk shear, 0 to 6 kilometer shear of 60 knots. That's plenty for rotation aloft. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have low-level rotation and tornadoes. You may, if we see little areas where we have leftover outflow boundaries from last night. Of course, we had lots of storms that dove southeast from Texoma through northeast Texas that may have left a very minuscule residual outflow boundary. That was overnight stuff, hailers. We had a tornado warning literally on the Red River last night, but I don't think anything came of that. But if a storm was to find one of these outflow boundaries from yesterday's storms and ride it, then we could have a tornado threat. Again, we're just at 2%, so that's a 1 in 50 chance of a tornado within 25 miles of any point. Again, that's going to be, let me bring that back up, Austin, Waco, Fort Worth, Dallas, Gainesville, Sherman, Denison, Paris, Texarkana, Longview. Just a 1 in 50 chance there. Of course, this doesn't mean a whole lot if you are the unlucky recipient of such tornado. But again, Mother Nature's going to do whatever regarding these lines, outlooks. Doesn't matter all that much, so don't get fixated on that stuff. So I already need more coffee, but again, we have plenty of shear, plenty of instability. Now, let's look at the low-level shear. This is very modest, so this is low-level shear. We're not seeing super-duper low-level shear. 5 to 10 knots here across these storms. So that low-level shear is where you're going to have your indications of tornado possibility. We're not seeing very good low-level shear by any means. Helicity values, let's go over to helicity values, and again, modest. There's some, but there's really not a lot to scream tornado producers anytime soon, at least. Later on this evening, we might bump up the helicity values just a touch, but it's all going to come down to mesoscale features like that outflow, any little outflow boundaries from last night's storms. Distinct possibility that we could have a storm find those features. I'm not finding those features. I'm not a super great forecaster, I'll admit that straight away. But we have mid-70s dews, we have high instability, we have probably very minuscule mesoscale features from last night's storm. So Large damaging hail, certain. Less certain is when and where a tornado could pop up today. I'm sure there will be a situation or two where we see a tornado, though. So just stay tuned with Texas Storm Chasers. Stay tuned. David Reimer is going to be live, I imagine, at some point this evening, at least to give another severe weather briefing for the state of Texas, if not coverage. I'm sure he'll probably have to do coverage. There's probably going to be a tornado, some sort of spinny mischief. We're going to probably have destructive hail somewhere he's going to want to talk about. So there is a live stream scheduled for 6 p.m. from the Chasing on Texas Storm Chasers YouTube and coverage on the Texas Weather Center YouTube. So those are tentative. I imagine we'll get that started off at some point, but right now, tentative schedule start at 6 p.m. You can check that out on both Texas Storm Chasers and the Texas Weather Center YouTube later on this afternoon near dinner time. But this has been just a quick little update on the state of affairs for Texas. Again, there are a lot of outdoor graduations today in the Metroplex. Now, the way things are started, stuff is south of the Metro. But I mean, no, there's probably graduations out here too, but the bulk of population center, of course, north of these storms now. So hopefully that's a good sign that things might avoid the Metro. But our main focus for storms, according to the HER, is up here on the outflow boundary from all the Oklahoma activity, cool front, if you will. This is more like a cool front, actually. So this should fire off storms north of Weatherford to Decatur, west to Denton. This will move into the DFW Metroplex later on. So assuming we get that stuff actually popping up 5-6 p.m. like the high-resolution rapid refresh model had suggested, yeah, DFW is going to have hail problems. As of right now, everything's south of the Metro. By everything, I mean 3 strong to severe storms moving northeast with pocket change-sized hail that convective allowing models did not even pick up on, as far as I know. So it is what it is. You could follow these storms with our free Texas Storm Chasers mobile weather app. You could check out our 24/7 little radar stream on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel. Got a few people already watching that today, so go on over to that. In the meantime, while you're waiting on Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer for more information. So again, we are certainly going to get storms. Some people are, I guess, under the impression we aren't expecting severe storms. Well, that's a lie, because we certainly have storms already ongoing, Northern Hill Country all the way over to parts of North Texas. So again, Meridian, Texas, probably getting in on some hail now. Let's go ahead and take a look while we're here before I let you go. Yeah, Meridian's probably going to get some pocket change-sized hail. This doesn't scream golf balls in greater yet. I could be wrong. We don't have any reports. Let me look at radar scope for reports, and because no chasers would even be on that, we have a report on a Hamilton of 1-inch hail. So yeah, okay, so this storm's capable of 1-inch hail if you believe those reports. Coming into Meridian, Texas now. Looking northeast of that, we have a little hailer, Carl's Corner, coming toward Italy, Texas, and Forston. That's going to ride I-35E more toward Forston, and then that's probably going to attack Ennis, despite Ennis already having this storm that passed through, and that's coming over Rosser, Texas now. So this surprise little activity, storms blowing through the cap early. Again, these were not indicated by the CAMs, the convective allowing models, but it is what it is. Zooming out, we see our cool front, which is going to be the main culprit. It should be the main culprit for severe storms later on this afternoon and near dinner time. And those should parade in the DFW Metroplex. So again, I guess some folks thought that there was no chance of severe weather in DFW or in North Texas. Wrong. Unless this front magically doesn't produce anything over the next several hours, but the amount of convergence on this is pretty substantial. So convergence meaning basically we're pushing air together, so it has to rise up. Converging air mass at the surface, like a boundary, converges, moves air upward, and then it becomes thunderstorms. And again, with all the storm fuel we have in place, we already looked at that. Let's go ahead one last time and look at that amount of instability in the atmosphere, and it's pretty extreme. This can go away. Thank you. It's pretty extreme. We have 5,500 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE. We don't even have indications there's much CAP lingering, so not a lot of inhibition here on the meta-analysis. So yesterday DFW had inhibition galore. We had CAP. That's why I didn't even bother going out to chase, because by the time I could have chased, well, we already had storms producing tornadoes down Bruce Valetti all the way over to Marquez. We had a pretty substantial strong to violent tornado in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, just north of the Texas border. Our chasers Adam, Lucio, and Brett Wright were on that. Got pretty spectacular photos and videos of that. Of course, that was in Oklahoma. So, this showed me a bunch of capping right over the DFW Metroplex. I was like, I'm not chasing today. I was planning on chasing yesterday, and, the environment was not very favorable for a local chase for myself. Today, very favorable chase for myself. Little DFW outing. Myself, Adam, and Steven are going to be out in the DFW Metroplex. Chelsea is available. Chelsea Burnett's available to chase. Maybe even Jenny Brown. I'm not sure if Brett Wright's down here. Trey Greenwood's in Oklahoma. Even Alex Bartholomew might be able to chase today. So, yeah, we'll probably have most of our chasers in the DFW Metroplex awaiting large damaging hailstorms. Not what you guys want to hear. Again, a lot of graduations, some of them outdoor today. So please be mindful, folks, traveling to graduations, especially if they're outdoors. It's gonna be sketchy. It's going to be dicey. Those outdoor graduations may be postponed. In the event a severe hailer comes your way, you might have to take shelter. So I'm sorry, but it is May, and we do this every year with graduation time. So my apologies, folks. Just keep an eye on the sky. Keep an eye on the weather with our free Texas Storm Chasers mobile weather app. And I'm going to let you go. We're going to go ahead and transfer you guys over to the radar stream. And when David Reimer, Balding Chief, goes live, keep an eye out for that. I imagine he'll be going live at some point here in the next 2 to 3 hours. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Ellis County. Great. It includes Waxahachie, Ennis, Glen Heights, Texas. So just barely coming into the southern DFW Metroplex now with a little hailer. Before I go, I'm not trying to have a full coverage discussion here. This storm might actually show indications of turning right. So it's going to cross I-35E and go into Milford. So Milford, you might have some quarter-sized hail coming into town. I am kind of convinced the storm is going to turn right. Just based off the last few scans, it's going to turn right and perhaps go right out of that severe warning box. So fun times. Milford, Texas, I-35E, between Carl's Corner and Italy, going to have some hail here shortly. The Meridian, Texas storm, not super duper. Probably a few quarters still coming down, hail-sized quarters. It's going to be very near Meridian, but this storm might be a little more robust. Turning right, usually storms turn right, they get stronger unless the environment doesn't favor right-moving thunderstorms. But right-moving thunderstorms should be favored to intensify and produce large damaging hail and maybe a tornado. So that is all I have for you. Meteorologist Jason Cooley here with a live afternoon weather briefing. We're going to try to do these more often on active stretches for the state of Texas. on the Texas Weather Center YouTube and Texas Storm Chasers Facebook pages exclusively. We're not going to do these briefings on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube channel, so we don't have too much noise going on across the YouTube space. But again, watch our radar stream, watch our radar app, and watch for David Reimer, Baldy-in-Chief, to perhaps go live within the next 2 to 3 hours. Signing off now, I'm meteorologist Jason Cooley. Y'all have a good evening. Keep an eye on the sky. Be safe on your way to and from graduations. Y'all take care.